What's going on, people? Welcome to One More Watch Please. In this channel, I will be posting watch unboxing videos, watch reviews, and I will also be talking to watch enthusiasts, watch collectors, and watchmakers on several different watch related topics. So, if you are someone who's passionate about watches, make sure you subscribe the channel. All the watches that we show on this video, I will be posting the links in the description. So, make sure you check it out. Uh, so without further ado, let's dive into the conversation with Sachin, who's a PhD student all the way from Canada. So hey Sachin, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm good today. It's a weekend, so I was just out in the forest today morning, just a bit of hiking, and then just back home to do this podcast. Yeah.
Cool. Where did you go for a hike?
So there's like a little park here. So I'm like in a very small town. So you walk 5 kilometers in any direction, you're outside the town and you're in the forest. I'm in Canada right now, so I just went to a park called a local park, and then you keep walking and you're out of the city and you're in the woods. It's pretty nice. It's a nice spot.
Ah, cool. Right. So why don't we start with telling the viewers about something about
Yeah.
you, your background, and how did you get into the watch collecting hobby?
So right now I'm a PhD student in Canada. I'm studying climate change effects on birds. And back in India, I also used to be a biologist. I worked with mainly frogs and crocodiles and mostly reptiles. Watches, as far as I can remember, going through all my pictures, I always had a watch in my hand ever since I was like 6 or 7 years old. Starting from like weird Mickey Mouse watches or some toy watches to like Timex was the brand which I wore the most. Um, and I've always had watches, but I think the whole thing blew up in the pandemic. So in the pandemic is when I had a lot of time on my hand that I was like, okay, when I get my PhD, I wanted to buy one watch, just to mark the start of the PhD and the achievement of the PhD. So I was looking at the Timex Weekender. That was the watch I was looking at, and also a company called Titan in India. These are just quartz watches. And then suddenly I started reading about mechanical watches and hand-wound watches and automatic watches, and then I got into the whole thing. And this was the pandemic, right? So there was nothing much to do. You're sitting at home, and then it just suddenly exploded, and then it hasn't stopped, and it's increasing. The craziness is increasing. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. I'm into reptiles myself. I used to have turtles back when I was in India. And
Okay.
I recently bought two turtles for my son when he was born.
Wow. Okay.
Unfortunately, they passed away. But I think in future, I want to get back into sort of
Turtles. Okay.
getting some more reptiles. Like I really like lizards as well.
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure if you've heard about it, but Aki Monitor is like one of my favorites.
Yeah. They're pretty fun to like play around, and if you have kids, the dragon lizard is also like a fun. I mean, it sounds menacing, but it's like a very docile lizard that you can have.
Yeah.
And, what species of turtle did you have in India and
Uh, I in India I used to have the red-eared slider.
oh, from
Uh,
US? Yeah.
yeah, and in the UK I used to have the map turtles.
Okay, the red-eared sliders are actually like they're one of the worst invasive species in the world because they're very easy to keep as pets, so people get them all over and then they release it. I mean, they're invasive species.
Yeah.
They're invasive even in India and everywhere, but they're very easy to have and they're kind of fun. If you actually interact with them, you can actually train them quite a bit. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, they're banned in the UK because apparently they are the most aggressive species.
Yeah, because they kind of destroy everything else and they go after other turtles and yeah, and I used to work in a reptile zoo in India. It was mainly a crocodile zoo near Chennai, and we had a lot of turtles there also. But yeah, red ears are like very invasive species. Uh, yeah, but
Cool.
fun,
Right.
fun.
Let's get back into talking about watches. I know originally we
Yeah,
said that we're going to talk about your three top favorite watches in your collection, but
right,
you said you want to talk about more of your watches.
right.
So maybe let's just start with the number one. Why don't you tell
Yeah,
us? Why don't you show the viewers what
yeah,
watch it is it, and
yeah.
tell the story behind it, and maybe talk about some of the cool features.
So basically, I said no to favorite watches because I don't have a favorite watch in my collection. They all have a story. They all have, so I can't pick one above the other. So the best
Yeah,
way I'm going to go about this is I'm going to just show a few of my watches, and I'm going to go with the oldest one in my collection. So this is HMT Janata. HMT is Hindustan Machining Tools, and it was India's first watch company, which they started about 10 years after the independence or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but this is from 1972. It was my grandfather's brother's watch. He bought it with his first paycheck, and he's used it from 1973 till the early 2000. He used to wear it every day. His son used to attended the board exam with this watch on his hand, his 10th standard board exam. But then early 2000, he stopped using the watch, and then he moved to quartz watches. Till I came around, I have this habit of going to each relative's house or friend's house and say, "Hey, what watch does your dad have or your grandfather have? Can I see it?" And then he showed me this. This was when I was getting into watches and I wanted to have an HMT watch. And it was just lying in a box with like 20 other watches, and it wasn't used for like 20 years. And then he just wound it, and then it just kept working. And it's crazy, right? It's like 52 years old now since it was made, and it still runs, and it's going to run as long as I don't even need to, like, maybe like once in 10 years I open it up, put some oil, maybe do some cleaning, change the gasket, but it's gonna run forever. So this is the oldest watch in my collection, and in 1973 it costed about maybe like 200 rupees or something. And
wow.
and right now the HMT, right now the company isn't closed down. Right now this watch is around 7,000 rupees. So this is like my the oldest watch in my collection. It's pretty special.
Yeah, after I read your email, I was actually looking into the website, and
Right.
some of the stellar collections looks really cool.
Yeah, the Stellar is like the one. It's like maybe like 4 or 5 years old. That's the latest line of the new
Yeah,
age HMT watches, but they still have their older watches. The thing is, the company actually it's actually owned by the government, and the company actually closed down in 2016. What most people don't know is that when they closed down, they still had a huge inventory. They had movements, they had like so many movements left and so many parts left that after the company closed down, they just started putting together watches and taking all these old stocks which weren't sold, and they just put it up on a website, and then people started buying it. And now they've actually are opening showrooms in Bangalore, and the HMT Watch Museum. If people in Bangalore, they should go visit. And they have a showroom there, and they're now selling watches. I mean, the next watch I'm also going to show is an HMT watch, which I bought for 3,000 rupees in 2021. Right now, it costs 7,000 rupees. The price just doubled in a span of like 2 years because of the interest in it, you know. And these are hand-wound watches, the same movement that they used in the 60s. It's the same movement till now, you know, and it just works, and it's proven. It's been working for like 15 years now, you know.
do they use an in-house movement, or do they use like Seiko or Miyota movement?
So actually, what happened was the original, right? When India wanted to make watches, they went to Japan and they went to Citizen. And Citizen came over with their engineers, with their machines, and then the first models that came out used the Citizen movement. And then they made slight modifications to the movement, and then it became a in-house movement. But the DNA is still Citizen. So these are still Citizen. Miyota is also owned by Citizen.
Yeah,
So these are still
sure.
Citizen slash Miyota movements, and the newer watches are using Miyota movements from the new Miyota movements from Japan. So the watch still has its roots to Japan and India. So it's like an interesting uh, situation there.
Yeah, I like how you got that really cool story behind it, and it's
Yeah,
really attached to your family as well. And I
yeah,
think
and
every
this
watch
is
collector should
exactly
have a similar kind of
right.
logic before they like get any watches.
Yeah, you should just go around within your own family, see find those old boxes lying down somewhere, and inside there would be. I mean, when he found it and when my grandfather's brother, he saw me very enthusiastic about it. He told me, how he bought it. He showed me some of his other watches. I took another one of the Citizen automatics also from the 60s. And so he started getting back into, and he had all these great stories. And yeah, I mean, I mean, right now it what costs like maybe like 50 some dollars, US dollars, and you get a hand wound movement.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's crazy, right? A mechanical watch for $50, and yeah,
Cool. I
you can
think I
just,
think
yeah.
hearing that about HMT, I'm really excited to see the next watch.
Yeah, it's so the next watch is the first watch I bought for myself with my own money. It was for getting my PhD. The day I secured my PhD, I got this. So this is like HMT's crown jewel. It's called Kohinoor, like after the Kohinoor diamond. And I got the green dial. It's a sunburst dial. And looking at the serial number, they made it in the Uttarakhand factory. So basically, what happened with HMT was they made a lot of movements in the 90s, around 98, 99. They made a lot of movements, but then that was also the time the quartz revolution was picking up. So people were getting into quartz watches because they were battery powered and stuff. So HMT made a lot of movements, and they were using these movements for years after that. And then eventually, because they couldn't keep up with the smart watches and quartz watches, they had to shut down. But I wanted my first watch that I buy for myself to be an HMT. You got to start where the history of watches in India started, right? And it's amazing. I mean, the camera doesn't do justice to how simple, how amazingly deep green this watch is, and it's got an acrylic crystal, and yeah, I have it on this old two-stitch vintage leather strap, and it looks amazing. I mean, it looks amazing with any strap, metal, brown, tan. It looks amazing. So this was the first watch I bought for myself, and it will be the crown jewel in my collection forever. And I only wear it on very special occasions, but I wind it every day. Every day, I like hand-wound watches because you're interacting with it, right? And a lot of times I keep it to my ear and wind it. And every once in a while, I pop open the back just to see the movement inside, the wheel spin.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
so that's my first. Yeah,
I particularly like hand-wound mechanical movements because
me
you're
too.
right.
Yeah,
It creates a connection between you and your watch.
right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I like that sort of interaction. I mean, that's why I still haven't bought an automatic watch, though I will buy one in the summer. It's just the interaction. I mean, I have two hand wounds, and it's almost like those 20 seconds that you take to turn it right. That's sort of like just stops your life, and then
Yeah.
you sort of think about. It's amazing. A lot of times I actually sleep with the watch right next to me in the bed with a little torch so that it reflects the green, and then I just look at it and fall asleep. Um, yeah,
Yeah, and I think you made a good point about the really nice style right there, because I was looking
yeah,
at the website and it doesn't look that nice on the website, but looking at it
no,
right now, it looks really
yeah,
really nice and it looks really premium as well.
right. And the thing about HMT is each factory um, had a sort of I can't confirm this, but I'm on the Facebook groups and stuff, and we discuss. So each factory has a slight variation in the dial and in the materials that they use. There were five HMT factories at its peak around India, and then apparently this one from Uttarakhand, because you can see the serial number, it says five, which is the factory in Uttarakhand, apparently had the best uh, sundial burst effect of the watches. Um, and also, I haven't been able to confirm this. These are, again, not all of these stories that I'm telling you is just by talking to people on groups and stuff, right? So it's just information that they have, and there are some HMT employees also that that, and basically these were made for exports um, from India, and it wasn't readily available for the at least the green one, wasn't
Yeah.
available for the Indian market. And recently, when I was like just researching, I found a Japanese company in Japan selling Kohinoors. They have their own bracelet and everything, but so the watch apparently made it from here to Japan back. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I saw someone selling on eBay in the UK, selling them for like £300.
Oh, no, don't buy it. I mean, it's like $50 in India for a brand new one, right? I know
Yeah,
I've seen all those on eBay and stuff. It's highly inflated. But you can get a new Kohinoor in India for like $50.
yeah.
And you can actually
I've
ship
got
it through.
I've got my parents still in India, so I might get them to order one
Perfect.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kohinoor is crazy, man. And it's also got this acrylic crystal, the domed acrylic crystal, which is very, very vintage. And the whole thing just sort of pops.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Cool.
So that's
Yeah,
the
let's
from
move on to your third watch.
So after I started my PhD, I was going to have a lot of field work, a lot of like working out, and lifting stuff in very harsh conditions and stuff like that. So I wanted a watch which could basically take everything that you can throw at it and, Casio G-Shock. I mean, it's unbreakable. There's just videos of people dropping it from 30 meters from the helicopter and, it lands and it bounces, but it never breaks and stuff like that. So I got a G-Shock. But this is a JDM. So I actually got it from Japan because you can't get this anywhere else in the world. There's Discovery Japan and Tic Tac area, which actually buys watches, JDM, Japanese domestic market watches, and they ship it all over the world. So I got this through Tic Tac area, and this is solar powered, and it syncs to the atomic clocks around the world. So this is my grab and go watch. It's always on time. It always has the right time. It's solar powered. I mean, even light charges it. Just not as effectively as solar. It's always working. It's always ticking, and it's gonna keep ticking. At least maybe eventually the capacitor might need a change, but that's like 25 years down the line or something, right? So it's my grab and go. Vacation, travel. It's got world time and everything. So this is my grab and go. Traveling when I just don't want to worry about hand-on watches, when it's raining outside, I don't have to protect my watches. This is the one I go for. It just keeps sticking.
Yeah, I think Casio and
G-Shock.
sort of G-Shock in specific is kind of a watch that I would love to see in sort of every watch collector's collection.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I don't know, like in the last few years I've been really into like mechanical and automatic watches, and I
right,
feel like I should really have one in my collection, and that's
right.
currently on my wish list now. But I'm not sure which one I want yet. But there's definitely a place for a G-Shock in my case.
Right. I mean, that's the thing with Casios. I have three Casios right now. I also have the calculator, the CA53, and I also have the classic, the A158, right? And these are what? These are cost of a meal in McDonald's or something, right? They're like
Yeah.
$20 or something. You can even get them for even cheaper if you're. But they're going to work for years. I mean, for my lifetime at least. They basically are indestructible. You can take it out for swimming, and it's $20. But the
Yeah.
joy that it gives you, right? It sort of keeps me grounded. If you can enjoy that for like $24, then that sort of keeps my
Mhm.
expectations of watches
Yeah.
low. I don't want to become one of those guys who just the mechanical watches are watches. Everything else, doesn't matter. I don't want to get into that. So, like I think everybody should have a G-Shock. Just wear it. Don't worry about it. Just keep going.
Yeah, and I think you made a really good point there, right? When you're collecting and wearing watches, you're not doing that to please others. You're doing it because it makes you
Yeah.
happy.
Right.
So
Exactly.
the cost of the watch doesn't matter. And I think that's the main goal for me to start this channel as well. I want to send the message out
Oh,
there
nice.
in terms
Right.
of if you don't have to break your bank to be a watch collector, you can start
No.
from $20 or even
Right.
$10. I've seen some watches for $10 and they're brilliant.
F91. Right.
Yeah.
F91W. Right. And that's the thing. I think with watch collection, you always have to build up. You don't hit the $500 and then you always have to go because these things keep you grounded. I mean, for the most part, between 18 and 30 years old, every day I wore this Timex. This was like $25. It was a gift from my uncle in the US. This was like $20 or something. And I've worn this on all my adventures in India, every rainforest, all of these harsh conditions, and it just didn't die. And this is just $20. right? So that sort of keeps the whole thing grounded. Like
Yeah.
it shows the time, it's gonna keep working, and this is all you need to show the time. The rest of it is it's a hobby. It's you want to mark occasions, and it's something to build upon. But you always have to remember, $20 can get you through your entire life with one watch.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reason the watches I will be reviewing on this channel will be really sort of like affordable budget watches, but they are really good
Right.
quality. The
Yeah,
that kind of gives you the bang for your buck.
exactly. Timex, Casio, Seiko, Citizen, Orient, like these guys are just like the watches that they make, and they will last your entire lifetime, and they're so much fun, and just to have and to interact with also. Right?
Cool. I think I really like the collection you've shown us so far. Is there anything else you wanted to show us, or I think
I just have one last watch. So this is a Timex chronograph that my parents got me when I turned 18, and the reference is 278771, I think. It's just a battery powered chronograph. But I mean, this must have been like when I bought it in I think it was 2009. I think it was 3,000 Indian rupees, or like $25. But I mean, look at again the camera. I don't know if it picks up. It's got a beautiful blue sunburst effect, and so it's a 60-minute chronograph, and it's got a day function, and it's also got loop. I mean, not of course Lumi Bright or something like that, but
yeah,
it's got a good loom. It's got amazing finishes. It's got like metal uh, indices with loom inside, and it's finished amazingly, and it's $25. I mean, like what more can you ask for? It's gonna look. It's just an everyday sports watch. And like I don't think you can beat something like this for the price. Right?
yeah.
And
I
this
think I
watch is
think I
also
love
very special. Right.
I think I love Timex watches, and I think there are two series in specific that I like. One of them is their Expedition series,
Expedition. Yeah. Yeah.
and they've just launched a Timex Q chronograph
Yeah.
series.
A
That's
reissue.
they're really
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, the Q series, I want to have one of those. So basically, it's a reissue of their older, I think, 80s or 70s or 80s model, and they
Yeah,
look amazing. And it's crazy the level, and they're gonna be like around $100 or something. But the finish and it's just crazy. Integrated bracelet, and it's beautiful. I mean, I keep telling people who are not, who just want to watch. If you want a digital watch, get a Casio. If you want an analog watch, get a Timex. And the kind of designs, especially Timex now. If you look at the last couple of years, what they've been doing is amazing. Ever since the Marlin, they released the Marlin, the Q series, the Expedition series, and they have these new solar-powered watches. They're using neotar movements now and giving out hand-wound and mechanical watches. So I want to see Timex do well. They sort of had a little down, but
yeah. Even the
yeah,
Timex, is it Marlin series, which is automatic?
yeah. The
They look
Marlins,
really nice. Yeah,
they're super small. They have domed. They have a domed acrylic crystal. They're basically like exactly how they made it back in the day. Like in the
yeah,
60s and 70s. They're pretty small, the right size for a dress watch. But the designs. There's a black one which I'm crazy about. The finish on that is amazing. But again, like I don't know, 100, $120, $130 or something. You can
yeah,
find them for that low, and it's a hand-wound watch. So it's crazy. Yeah.
yeah. I think Timex Marlin is definitely in my wish list.
It's on mine too. Yeah, eventually. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for sharing your collection. I think
Awesome.
I'm sure the viewers agree with me that they're really amazing and they have some really good story attached to them. So yeah, thanks for
Thank you.
sharing
Yeah.
with us. I really appreciate that. Uh, so as a watch collector and enthusiast, we all know that we all have a wish list.
Yeah, I have
So why don't you tell the viewers about your wish list? What does your collection look like in the next few years?
right. So the next one I'm going for, I want to buy my first automatic watch, and I've finally settled on Seiko 5. It's going to be the SNKL 23. It's a very famous. So Houdinki, the watch article company or whatever. So they had this famous article on the SNKL 23, and it read a $75 watch that looks like $1,000,000. And that watch, I mean, it's around, you can get it for around $120 now. And it's crazy. I mean, I don't want it, I mean, if people are interested, you should just Google SNKL 23. It looks amazing to watch. So that will be my first automatic watch that I buy in the summer. And there are a couple of, there's Orient is another one of my favorite watch brands. And the kind of complications that they do for like, so they have this watch called the Sun and Moon, which
Mm-hmm.
is basically a 24-hour AM PM indicator, but with the sun and the moon. So 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. the sun is out and it keeps moving, and 6 p.m. to the stars and the moon comes out. So the dial sort of rotates. That
Yeah.
watch is on my list. It's the Orient Bambino Sun and Moon. They just launched it, I think, last year. So the
Yeah. I
one of
think
the
I think
Orient Bambinos.
yeah, I think they've launched under they basically have two brandings, Orient and Orient Star, where
Star, right?
Orient Star is more like a premium version of the
It's like
watch.
the Grand Seiko. It's like Seiko and Grand
Yeah.
Seiko.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm today I'm wearing my Ingersoll skeleton, and I've got the
Oh
sun
wow.
moon phase as well,
Right. Yeah,
and
it's crazy, right?
and
The sun and
it's
moon.
got dual time as well.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. I didn't know about that watch. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, it's actually got two springs, and it holds the power for a couple of days. It's really good, and I
Okay.
only paid like under $300 for it.
Okay, so it's got like a power reserve for at least like
Yeah,
48 hours or something. Okay.
yeah,
And you paid
it's really good.
200 for it? Oh, you
Under
said
three hundred
$200
dollars, under $300. It was on offer on Amazon.
for a dual time watch with sun and moon? That's okay,
Yeah,
that's amazing. That's a very good deal. Right.
yeah,
Orient is on my list. That's the next after that. And then my all-time favorite watch is Seiko Total. It's around $450, the black one, and not the sapphire glass, not the one with the Cyclops, the older one. That's like the watch. If gun to head, someone says there's only one watch you can ever own in your life, it will be the Seiko Total. Like that's the one that go anywhere, do anything, and it's just amazing. That watch is on the list. And then I mean, it's been like 3 or 4 years now. There's a company called Protec. They make watches for the U.S. Marines and the military, and they have tritium watches. So tritium is basically like it just glows for the next 25 years or something. So I want to get a tritium watch. So Protec, I think the serial number is 3001. So that's on my list. And then it sort of builds up because the Seiko Total is around the $400, and then Protec is around 400. So then it sort of the collection goes up. But I'm not ready to spend that much on watches just yet. And then there's Hamilton. Longines are doing some really fantastic watches in the last couple of years. They just suddenly popped out of nowhere.
yeah,
Or maybe I'm just looking at them now, but they have some incredible designs. And of course, Hamilton, you know, they're on the wish list. And eventually, Nomos, but they're in the 2000 and above
yeah.
price range. But I love the Bauhaus, the emptiness of the watch. So that would be like I don't know 6 7 years down the line, maybe a Nomos.
Yeah, and I think Nomos do some brass watches as well, which look amazing.
Yeah, I mean, but the lowest they also I don't know if they have quads, but the lowest automatic watch the price is around 1,000. I think it's called the Metro series, and they're around $1,300 or something. But I mean, the designs that they have is just amazing.
Yeah,
And there's also the other one, Junghans, the Max build. So I want to get. So right now, all of my watches are basically it's Timex, which is US, and then all the others are like Citizen, Casio, Seiko. It's all Japanese, and I like Japanese watches. I want to stay with them for a while, but eventually get into German watches, and then maybe Swiss, Hamilton, and
yeah.
they're on the list.
Cool. Yeah, you got a pretty decent wish list there. Some really nice brands and some really cool watches. And again, you got story behind each and every one of them, which I really
Yeah,
admire.
yeah. I mean, so yeah, I mean, it has to mean it's not just spending the money and getting the watch. It's how you got the watch, why you got it, and what it means. Because every time you lift up this watch, it needs to remind me of the pandemic and getting the PhD and making it to Canada or something like that. So each of them, for me at least, needs to have a story. And I don't want to own. I mean, I see myself only owning maybe 24 watches in my life because I want to keep wearing them. I don't want to collect.
Yeah.
I want to use the watches. In a day, I wear 3 watches in a day. I keep shifting. When I'm at work, I wear a watch. I come back for gym, I wear another watch, and then out in the evening, I wear another watch. So I want to have watches that I can keep wearing and not just sitting in a box.
Yeah.
So 24 is my
Definitely.
number, like
Yeah. I
total
think
number
that's
of
the sign
watches.
of a real watch enthusiast and not just a collector who's
Not a
just doing it
collector.
for investment or just uh, for business purposes.
No, no, exactly. And next time I'm in India, I'm going to go and buy these old watches, which you can buy in lots for very cheap. They might not even work, but I have some tools already, but I want to start opening up watches, taking it out, I don't want to mess with any of the watches I have now, but maybe get some old watches and, just start tinkering with it, taking stuff out, maybe learning a little bit. I've seen people do it on YouTube, and it seems like hours of fun, and there's a lot of learning behind it. So that's also on the list.
Yeah, I'm
To
I'm
start
I'm
investing.
I'm I'm looking for sort of learning more about watchmaking myself and sort
Right.
of play
Yeah.
play around more with sort of the interiors of the watch, the movement, and
Yeah.
the dials and the hands and stuff like that.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, I just want to, for now, I just want to take apart the mechanical watch and then put it back together. And take it apart, put it back together. It seems so much fun because I keep opening up these watches every once in a while. But I don't want, but that's all I want to do. I just open the case back and
Yeah,
put it back because I don't want to mess with these
yeah,
watches and learn with these watches. But I would get watches eventually, like old watches, and try to get parts myself and try fixing them or something.
cool. Sounds
But
good. Uh, and I think I had one more last question in terms of uh, so if someone is starting to get into watch collecting hobby, what is
Mhm.
the one advice that you would give them based on your
Okay.
experience?
So actually, I can tell you what works for me and what I do. Uh, so the thing for me is the first rule is no instant gratification. It's not you go look at a watch, you like it, you don't buy it. There has to be. So each of these watches bought for a specific purpose. So it all of my watches mark some achievements out of the ordinary. Birthdays, Christmases, New Year don't count. Like these are not achievements, right? So when I got my PhD, I got this watch, and then when I got a little award, like an excellence award for something I did in my PhD for about $1,000, I got the A158, to mark that my first scholarship in my PhD or something like that. So each of these watches were bought for a reason, right? And only two of my watches in my collection are gifts, and the other two I just took it from my grandfather's brother's collection. But for me, it has to be a reason, a solid reason, an achievement, and then I buy a watch to mark it. So they're like my witnesses, you
Yeah,
know. And what I buy depends on what I get. So if I get $1,000 scholarship, I'm getting a $30 watch. If I get a $6,000 scholarship, maybe I get $100 watch. So it's in relation to where
yeah,
I am. So this is to make sure I don't overspend. I mean, I can get a $1,000
definitely.
watch now, but I'm just a student, right? $100 is my limit. So it sort of keeps you grounded that way, and you don't, and you sort of beat instant gratification because I mean, $20 Casio, right? You can get $10 to 10 watches for $200. And but then you want wear all of them, right? So for me, it's an occasion, it's an event, it's an achievement, and to mark it, I buy a watch, right? And that marking should be big enough in itself to buy a watch. So that's how it is for me because, like I said, I'm an enthusiast. I'm not a collector. So like I said, I just want to have only 24 watches in my life,
Yeah,
right? So each of them needs to be really thought of and not. I could have bought 10 Casios now, right? But I only have 3 of them. So that's my cutoff. And so for anybody starting out, I would say it's so the thing with watches is, at least for me, when you look at a watch, online and you want to buy it, there's always something wrong with it. You start off like mess with the tiniest detail. Like, okay, I wish it didn't have loop tips. I wish it had like a slightly more elongated indices and not something shorter. Maybe the hand should have been longer and not shorter. Maybe a baton style hands. So you sort of obsessed with these sort of details, right? For me to settle on Seiko SNKL 23, which is going to be my watch, I was looking at SNKL 45 also. So I was battling with, and then the Orient Bambinos, just fighting with all of these watches. Like, okay, what works? Okay, this is right, this is wrong. So it's like an obsession. So if you see a watch and you buy it, guaranteed in a couple of weeks there might be a better watch or
Yeah.
something. You'll be like, oh shit, that made more sense. I should have got this one, right?
Yeah.
So for me to settle on the XNKL 23 was a 4-month process of looking at YouTube videos. And the other thing, when you look at watches, you should, I mean, when you have these big YouTube channels doing it, they get the perfect lighting, the perfect camera, the perfect angle to capture the watch.
Yeah.
The other thing you should also do is go to Instagram and just see normal people posting the pictures of the watch with their
Yeah.
phone also. Because that might be a little true to how the watch might actually look.
Look, yeah.
And in other cases, like you said, the Kohinoor on HMT's website is horrible. But in reality, it's something else, right? So you also have to look at different things and take your time with it. And the other thing I like doing is I like buying watches not at their MRP, finding some sort of discount, waiting for Father's Day, Mother's Day, or
Yeah.
Black Friday or something. And they chase for it, looking at TikTok area, looking at Discovery Japan, looking at Joma Shop. Keep following these watches, and then suddenly, I mean, the SNKL, which I'm going to get, which I'm going to order, is about $109 now on Joma Shop, right? And it's pretty cheap. It's on some Mother's Day sale or something like that. So
Yeah.
you just wait, you watch, because I guarantee you, if you don't make the right choice, you will sell it, and there'll be that other watch a couple of weeks later you want. And then you'd buy that, and pretty soon you have too many watches.
Yeah. I think that's a really good tip for, especially to someone who's starting out, that they don't want to spend the full price on every watch, so they need to find the right deal and maybe use that
Right.
extra money for their next watch.
Right. And also don't give in to the hype. Like, for example, the Tissot PRX with the integrated bracelet. I mean, that watch just blew up in the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, every top 10 watches under $1,000, it's number one or number two or something. But I hate the watch. I just don't like the Tissot PRX at all. The integrated bracelet and the way it looks. I like the Gentleman. They have Tissot Gentleman. I like that better. It's sort of the same movement and stuff. But you shouldn't give in to the hype. When PRX came out, I was like, oh wow, okay, this is amazing. But then when I actually look at it, I didn't like the design for me personally, right? So
Yeah.
you don't want to give in to the hype of that. So you just got to take your bit around, meet up, talk to people, get up. There's a lot of groups on Facebook. The first thing I would do is enter those groups, because because the enthusiasts, I mean, all the groups I am, you post a story saying, I'm looking for my first watch. I've got a job. My budget is on $60. I'm looking for a quartz watch. What do I get? And you have people just helping you and telling you, okay, and making you think about, okay, and he would explain to you what a lug width is, why a lug to lug matters more than the case dimension.
Yeah.
What's your wrist size? So they help you with a lot of, there's so many little technical details. And especially when buying online, you got to know a few, what's a lug to lug width matters more than the case size, and what's the size of your wrist. So those kinds of things will go a long
Yeah, and I definitely agree with your point about the Tissot PRX, because I share the same opinion about PRX, and I'm
Right.
personally a fan of the Gentleman series rather than
The
PRX.
Gentleman, right? Yeah.
And I think PRX is the most ugliest watch I've seen till date.
Yeah, exactly. And now Citizen is making some integrated watches with titanium and like a small second hand, and those look slightly better. But for me, for me personally, integrated watches are something I don't like, except this one, because my parents got it, for my 18th birthday, and I love this one, the design and everything. But the PRX, it's something about it just doesn't gel. You know, it's not coherent in a
Yeah.
way. But this one sort of flows. That the PRX doesn't. It's got like the case sort of sticks out from the bracelet, and you can't change the bracelet; it's integrated,
Yeah,
right?
I
So,
agree.
so it's not for me. Yeah, but that
Cool.
watch is high. Like it's number one. It's like if you Google top watches it's Hamilton's going to show up, the PRX is going to show up, the Seiko Alpinist is going to be there. These are always the first top three watches on the list. But yeah, so don't give in to the hype. You know,
Yeah,
Wear what you like.
yeah. I suppose get what works for you, right, rather than
Right.
works for
Yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah.
Because sometimes what you see is not always the right thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad that you also don't like the PRX and I'm not the only one. The Gentleman is on my. It's amazing finishing. It's got this beautiful shape also. Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah, I'm planning to get a gentleman, hopefully for my 40th. But that's just a hint
Okay.
for the missus. If you're watching this video,
Okay. Maybe they. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's the one. I mean, that's like a definite to watch. You could. It's a good watch to have when you're 40. You
yeah,
can be
definitely.
proud that you made a good decision there. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I wanna thank you for your time today.
No problem. Yeah.
Thanks for showing us your wonderful watches and sharing your experience as a watch enthusiast. Uh, and yeah, hopefully we'll talk about some other topic soon.
Excellent. Reptiles, maybe turtles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
Right.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm also glad I did this because I got to do what I like, which is talk about my watches, but with somebody who's also, I usually do it on the groups and stuff, but this is the first for me, actually. And maybe we do this again once, once my collection grows or like there's something new happening with the watch world or something. We can have
Yeah,
another podcast. Yeah. And I hope your things work out for you, yeah, with the channel and yeah,
cool. Thank you. And I think we should definitely do a video on HMT as a brand
yeah,
and
yeah,
their collection.
exactly. Yeah, we should actually. Because there's so much history there, there's so much story there, and it's a very grounded company. When they first released, also they just named their watches after common Indian names. There's HMT
Yeah,
Sachin, for example. So we should talk something just about HMTs.
cool. Thanks again, and I hope you have a good day.
Yeah, thanks, man. No problem. See you soon.
Thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate your love and support to the channel. Make sure you like and share this video with your friends and family who are also into watches. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so when I post my next video, you will be the first one to get the notification. I appreciate you and I hope you have an amazing day.